Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show with myself, Aaron, and Tom. Tonight, a very special Christmas edition of the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. No special guest. Afterwards, though, there will be some bonus footage from Billie Starkz' Cosmic Christmas wrestling show. We were able to attend that. What a great show that was, and we were able to speak with a few people as well. So hopefully everyone will enjoy that after this episode. Tom, how's it going?
Doing good. Good as can be.
That's a nice looking shirt you got on there.
Yes, big seller over at ProWrestlingTees.com. So everybody needs to check that out.
Yeah, that's our ugly Christmas wrestling shirt. So, maybe it's too late to get it for Christmas for this year. I'm sure it is. But if not, plan on leaving that up at least until the first of the year, maybe longer. Maybe we'll leave it all year long because Christmas in July, who knows? So make sure to pick up a copy of that. Jeez. Make sure you pick yourself up one of those shirts and any of our other stuff as well. Now, listen, it's the holiday season. We got a lot going on. And sorry we weren't around last week. Life is tough sometimes, especially since the holiday season. Myself and Tom both came down sick. Nothing COVID related, but it was the flu related. Car, of course, my dog's barking now. So it took us a little bit longer to get a little bit healthy. And then, of course, we had family issues as well come up. So we want to make sure everyone's health and safe during these holiday season. Tom, everything good your way right now?
Yeah, as good as can be. Good as can be.
All right, well, let's talk about wrestling real quick because that's why we're here, right? Day one is upcoming for WWE. It will happen on New Year's Day this year. Pretty good card, I would say, from WWE on paper right now. Now, whether or not it'll just be a kind of a throwaway show, who knows? Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns again. We've got Edge versus The Miz. We've got a fatal four-way with Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Big E for the WWE Championship. And we've got Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan also scheduled. What are you looking forward to right now with that card?
Look, here's the deal. So a lot of times we always feel like things are completely predictable. And I feel like right now it's not that way. And I'm really enjoying seeing these stories unfold. I look towards WrestleMania and try to think, well, what are they going to do now that's going to set up maybe WrestleMania and things like that? And I can't put it all together in my head because of the things that are going on right now, which I really like. And I think that is definitely different from some years past. But I am definitely looking forward to seeing what Brock and Roman put together and how this story unfolds. I don't think it's even close to being over yet. So that's what intrigues me the most about that. I think it's just another step in that story. And then you look over on Raw with the Fatal 4-Way. I'm enjoying Rollins and Owens together. And I wouldn't think I would have ever thought that. So I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out with them. And then, Lashley's character seems to be changing a little bit too. So I'm interested in the direction of him as well, seeing what's going to happen. And then I look at Big E and I just feel like there's so much star power in that I'm hoping that he still has a great performance. And ultimately I'm pulling for him to win that match. However, I feel like they've got it set up to where he's going to drop that belt, unfortunately.
One thing with the Big E title run right now is there's no yin to his yang. Like, they really haven't established that main villain for him, that main feud for him. Brock had Austin. Brock's got Roman right now. But there's just like, let's throw some people at Big E instead of really developing a feud. And I think that's really hurting him. I would say in that Fatal 4-Way, the only person I can see not coming out with that title would be Lashley.
Really? elaborate a little bit, because I think
I
he's
just think he was thrown in there at the last minute. And I'm kind of like you. There's something going on with that Rollins and Owens chemistry. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go with those two, but I feel like maybe Bobby is the one that's going to take the fall in that match.
I don't know. That's what I like about it the most, is that I don't see a clear cut. Well, this is clearly what they're doing, and a lot of times we get that. I could see that going different ways. I could see Bobby Lashley winning it, and the way that they get the belt off of Big E is through a bunch of shenanigans, which is where Owens and Rollins come into play. So that it's not necessarily that Big E loses his luster, because if Lashley were to beat him in that match, if there was shenanigans on the other end with the other two competitors, and then I could see at Mania Rollins and Owens going at it and really finalizing their feud, even though they've temporarily come together. But I could see it going the completely other direction too, and Owens winning the championship at day one.
I think Big E is the one who's been kind of like left out of all this. On storylines, they're focusing on Rollins, they're focusing on Owens, and now they're focusing on Lashley last week or two. And Big E is just kind of off to the side. And I don't never like for my champion to be off to the side, not a focus.
Yeah. I mean, right now all he has is the belt, and that's not good for him long term. That's why I really feel like he's going to be dropping that championship, even though I hope that's not the case. But I want there to be a little bit more depth into what they're doing and figure something out for him, because he's a top guy. I don't care where he's at or what he's doing. They just need to give him something to do.
And then, I like what they're doing on SmackDown. I like the Paul Heyman being fired by Roman. I mentioned this to you. I feel like it could be that old Swerve where they had the Big Show and Brock Lesnar, where it looks like Heyman's been fired by Roman, but it's all a big ruse to sucker Brock in to let his guard down. And it could be a back turn with Heyman with Roman.
Yeah, is it a swerve? Is it a double swerve? I mean, there's so many possibilities that are intriguing that I just can't wait to see how it unfolds. They're doing a very good job on that side of things.
And then we got Liv and Becky. I would like to see Liv get the belt. Becky can get it back by Mania time. If something happens, they feel like Liv's not doing a good a job as they would like. But I kind of like where they're going, and they've kind of really built Liv up over the last month or so and trying to give her some credibility. I think when she came back during the whole Rusev and Lana thing, there was a lot of people who really wanted her to start getting a push. And they threw this terrible storyline with her, and it just really hurt her. And then they would throw the Riot Squad back together, only just to kill them as well. But this is Liv's moment. I think on New Year's Day, Liv Morgan's going to be your new Raw Women's Champion.
I think that if they do that, they really need to work a little harder on the development of the story and even her character some. She's definitely getting the support of the people, and I think that's definitely something that she's going to need if she's going to be that babyface. However, I don't know how strong the story is right now. It's definitely leaps and bounds better than it was, prior to. They're definitely working on it. I just don't know if it's actually championship level, and that's what worries me.
Yeah, it's tough, especially in the women's division where they've built only a handful of them up, like 3 or 4 of them up to be these goddesses, and everyone else is just second tier. For a lot of people to really start believing in those second tier people. You look at Toni Storm and Shotzi right now on SmackDown. I see star power in both of them, but Toni and Charlotte's story is absolutely terrible, throwing pies in each other's faces, and I can't stand that. And then they look like they're really going to push Shotzi with the whole Sasha thing, and then they kind of dropped that back off the ball as well. The women's division right now in the WWE, to me, feels a lot like AEW did early on, where you've got the top couple, and then everyone else is just thrown in there for a mix, and that should never happen with WWE.
No, there's so much talent in WWE right now that they should be putting on the best women's matches, the best storylines. The talent is there. And I don't think for some reason they want, I can't explain it, don't understand it, probably never will, but they don't want multiple women being successful at the same time. It's almost like they want you to only focus on certain ones. And I think that does the division a disservice. And it really hurts the next storyline and the next storyline after that, because nobody's ready when they need to be ready. And then you're force feeding a storyline with no build, and it's hard to get behind that. But just like you mentioned, on the other side of things on Raw, we've got Doudrop, who they keep toying with doing something positive with. First of all, they need to drop the silly name. There's rumors going around that they have filed for a trademark on Piper Niven again. I really think that's a big piece of the puzzle. She needs to come in with an attitude of, look, I was doing this. It's not working. I'm going to come in and be me. And I'm here to win championships and kick ass. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think she needs to just keep pushing that narrative. And I think she'll be one of the biggest stars that they have. It's just right now, it's hard to get behind Doudrop. And there's no story there. There's no, who is she? Yeah, well, she was with Eva Marie, who nobody liked and is gone. So they need to do a hard reset, even though that I feel like they have reset her in-ring. She's definitely doing more than what she was, but they need to do a hard reset on her character, and she just needs to come in there that she's fed up and she's here to prove what she came to do. And I think they got a huge star on their hands.
Yeah, I would, if I was the WWE right here starting in November, I would focus on 10 men and 10 women. And I would really be pushing those 10 men and 10 women. So that way, when the Royal Rumble came around, there would be 10 men and 10 women at least that everyone could believe was going to win the Royal Rumble each year. Like, these people should just be killing everybody, and to where it's really confusing. And we'll get into the Royal Rumble closer to time. But, every year it's like, well, there's only like 2 or 3 people we really believe that can win this. And if you just started right now and had a roller coaster of a ride going upwards with 10 great women and 10 great men, and just had them flat out be badasses and number one contenders and made you believe, it'd make the Royal Rumble a whole lot better too.
Oh, yeah. And, and they try to swerve us sometimes because they only give us a couple that we think can win it. And then there'll be some surprise winner. And we're like, well, I didn't see that coming at all. And that's okay. But like you said, I think there's a whole lot more meat to that puzzle. There's a whole lot more depth to it if you believe that there's all these different talent that could actually win and would make sense for them to win. They're ready for that. There's nothing wrong with having a roster full of top talent. They don't all have to have the championship at the same time. But if everyone's important, then every segment on your show is going to be important. And I think that's what they're lacking right now. I think there's certain things on each show that's anchoring the shows. You got Brock and Roman on SmackDown, but what else is really going on SmackDown that are keeping people tuned in? There's some, I'm not saying there isn't anything good else on SmackDown, but if they would devote the time and energy into developing these characters and focus on making them important, then the whole show's good from start to finish. And that's what's going to get people to tune into it. That's what's going to get people to get behind these characters and buy their merch. I'm with you. I don't know why they feel like they have to limit it just to a couple at a time.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens at day one. At least gives us something to do on New Year's Day. Watch a wrestling show where there is some question marks as far as what could possibly happen. So, and WWE is doing a better job on their main programs, I feel like. So, should be a good watch. Now it is Christmas, and this is wouldn't be a Christmas special if we didn't start talking about the holidays a little bit. So that's all the wrestling talk on the show. So if you're done listening, click off because we're not talking about wrestling no more. It's the holidays, and we're going to talk about a few things, and we're going to give right now our top 5 Christmas movies of all time. Now, I will say I did watch a Christmas movie last night. It's not in my top 5, so that's perfectly fine. I watched 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max. It's brand new. Stars Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris. Is that his name?
Yep.
And it's kind of like that Christmas Story field where the kid all he wants is a Nintendo in the 80s. And of course, the parents are totally against getting Nintendos because it rots your brain. And so it has that Christmas Story feel to it. Highly recommend it. It's an easy watch, hour and 30 minutes. But I'll start off this countdown with my number 5. We'll just go back and forth. 5, 5, 4, 4. Okay. So number 5 for me is the Bill Murray classic, Scrooge. You cannot beat Bill Murray in the late 80s and early 90s. He's just a comedic genius. I absolutely love his work in Scrooge. I actually just watched it again the other night out here. It could be my life story. Who knows? But it has comedy. It has some emotion to the movie as well, which Bill Murray does give you sometimes. So number 5 for me is Scrooge.
Well, we're definitely in different generations. So Scrooge for me, I was very young when I watched it as a kid, and I liked it. It's fine, but it's nowhere near my top 5. But here's the thing about Christmas movies. I love Christmas movies. I could watch 20 Hallmark Christmas movies, and I'll like every single one of them.
Spoiler alert, there's no Hallmark Christmas movies on my list.
Hey, they're basically the same movie, and that's fine. But I like it. I like Christmas movies. So when I think of top 5, there's certain triggers for me that put them on that list. Either a feel-good nostalgia thing from the past, or just overall the feeling that I get when I watch the movie, things of that nature. So my number 5 is a movie that I never watched until my wife Krista watch it, and it's The Family Stone. It is.
Don't think I've seen that.
It is very underrated. I couldn't even tell you who all's in it. Claire Danes, Diane Keaton. I think the guy from Coach, the guy that was Coach.
Craig T. Nelson?
Yeah, I think he's in it. I can't. There's a ton of great actors in this movie, but it is very good. And I did not watch it until a couple years ago. And I think it's
like 2000. Is this a 2000?
I think it's 20.
I haven't seen this, so
I think it's 2015, if I remember right.
Okay,
it's been a little while.
I'm gonna look it up.
But very good. There's funny moments in it, but it is a drama. It's also a romance. It's kind of got everything mixed in, and it's got those family elements that are always entertaining around the holidays. So,
and I'll let you give your number 4 now.
Okay, so number 4 would have to be Christmas Vacation. So now, as I've gotten older, this has dropped down my list. Okay. So when I was a kid, it was my number 1. All the funny spots, the Cousin Eddie, the silly stuff that's in there as a kid, I just thought was out of this world, brilliant, funny. And as I've gotten older, of course, I've seen it a million times. That may have something to do with it as well. It is one I have to watch every year, but it doesn't hit the same way it did when I was 11 years old. but it's still very good, and it's got that nostalgia feel. I can repeat, what they're going to say before they say it. It's just a classic, but it has dropped down my list.
It's okay. That's okay. Okay. Now here's one. This is kind of like what you just said. When you're a kid, this movie is it. And the older I get, the more it falls. Number 4 for me is Home Alone.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. And sometimes it could just be we've seen it so many times that stuff just kind of just gets a little old and nostalgic. Now I will say Home Alone 2 and 3 are just, ugh, I just didn't care for them as much at all. But if it was not for the Wet Bandits, in this movie, it just would not be the same. And you could tell. I mean, and it has to be Joe Pesci, and it has to be Daniel. I can't think of his last name.
Stern.
Yeah, it has to be those two, because when you watch these newer versions of Home Alone, like on Disney, it's not even close. Like, those two guys did a fantastic job. Still like watching it with my kids, but it just doesn't hold up to me as well as it used to. So Home Alone for me is number 4. And okay, go ahead.
So we're not far off, because that's my number 3.
Okay, so that's your number 3. Okay.
I feel like it's a notch above Christmas Vacation for me. And I kind of feel like it could be contributed to the fact that I've seen Christmas Vacation way more times. And we watched Home Alone a couple nights ago, and I hadn't seen it. I don't think we watched it last year. It may have been the year before. So it'd been a little bit since I'd watched it, and I was like, this really brings back a lot of good memories, and it's right there for me. I do understand what you're saying, though. As a kid, it's just, grinning ear to ear, start to finish. It's not quite that as an adult, but it is definitely, for me, up there on my list.
Okay, number 3 for me is 4 Christmases with Vince Vaughn. I love that movie. I'm not one who likes to watch these. It's kind of like that girlish type Christmas movie in a way, and I'm totally against that. I think Vince Vaughn is absolutely brilliant in this movie. Jon Favreau's in it as well. I love 4 Christmases. It's number 3 for me. So if somebody has not watched that, that's my number 3.
It's a great one. It really is. It didn't make my top 5, but it would definitely be in my top 10.
All right, and number 2 for me, since you've mentioned it, is Christmas Vacation. I mean, what can you say? It's Chevy Chase at his best. It's memorable characters for the rest of your life, and Cousin Eddie. It's got one-liners galore. The comedy is fantastic. It's well written, and it's something for the whole family. I mean, it really is. It gives you every element that you would want, and it's one of those where also, being someone who works, you could see the frustration in Clark. He just wants that great Christmas for the family, and it's kind of ruined. And the easiest thing can happen, can set him off a little bit. My dryer went out this past week. Kind of made me mad a little bit. So I get a little bit of Clark's frustration as well. So number 2 for me was Christmas Vacation. So you're number 2.
So my number 2 is Elf. And had this been around when I was a kid, I'd have never watched anything else. And I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan. I'm really not. But this character, this movie is so silly that it's just such a fun movie with a great underlying story and a purpose and a reason for the whole thing, and bringing the family together and getting people to have some Christmas cheer and just everything is so wholesome about this movie, and it's so silly that it's one that I have to watch every year, and I just enjoy to the fullest.
Okay. Before I reveal my number one, there were a couple that were kind of honorable mentions that could very well have been 4 and 5. Santa Claus with Tim Allen was an honorable mention of mine. Of course, every guy's Christmas movie, Die Hard. If we're using Die Hard as a Christmas movie, could also be used in that. But this is going to be the genre. This is going to show everyone my number one movie. I watch it every single year. It's kind of like my unwind movie. It's a Wonderful Life. To me, it's absolutely the best Christmas movie of all time. It's got some comedy for the 40s, but it's just that sit down on Christmas Eve, watch it, enjoy it. Even if it wasn't a Christmas movie, it's a masterful movie. It's very well done. It's my number one. So
it's a good one.
Who's some honorable mentions for you?
That would be an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
Four Christmases would be an honorable mention for me. 8 Crazy Nights would be an honorable mention for me. Adam Sandler. I remember as a teenager going to the movie theater with my buddies to watch that. Got a lot of laughs out of that. Here's the thing. There are so many good Christmas movies. You can't put them all in your top 10 or your top 5. And the way I look at things too, I may watch a movie that I ain't seen in 10 years and go, man, why am I not watching this one every year? And it may be in my list next year. But my number one movie as of 2021 is The Santa Claus. I absolutely love Tim Allen and everything that he does with this character. I just think that his influence is so heavily in this movie, and I'm a huge Tim Allen fan. So it's the wit, the humor is there, the storytelling I thought was really good, and it's one of those that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can get into the actual story of the movie. So my wife runs the daycare, so the kids when we're watching the Santa Claus, it doesn't matter if they're 2 or 3, they're invested in it just as well as I am sitting here at 36 years old. And it's just a feel-good movie. And the sequels are okay, but there's nothing like that original.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny that neither one of us had a Christmas Story in there. It's just played out to me. It's just played out.
I didn't like it as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic Christmas movie, but once it's on all day, the whole Christmas, my sister, when we're unopening presents still, will turn it on over at her house. I'm just like, really?
I don't know that I've seen it all the way through.
I think you need to watch it all the way through. His dad is just fantastic. I mean, dad's fantastic.
I remember seeing parts of it, some of the main parts. I remember the tongue on the pole and the leg lamp and the shooting your eye out. And, it just never was. I don't know. It just never was my thing. Another honorable mention that I have to mention is Jingle All the Way.
Oh yeah. See, and you're right. It's just, I guess anytime, that's another one that could just go either way. It could be in my top 5 one year and probably not. A couple of, yeah.
Especially if I haven't watched it in a couple of years. It actually holds up pretty good.
Well, give 8-Bit Christmas a try on HBO Max, and like I said, it was a really good show. Like we said, guys, the Christmas holidays are here. Hopefully, everyone is staying safe. And like I said, Tom and I were blessed to go to the Billie Starkz Cosmic Christmas Show. Great show, hard work by everyone. Really fun show. And so again, when we leave y'all here, we're going to have some bonus content as far as that go. But Tom, that's about all the time we got tonight. So if we don't have a show between now and New Year's, when we return, we will do our year-end awards. Right now, we do have Ella J scheduled to join us for that. So it'll be the first of the year. We want everyone to enjoy the holidays. We want to enjoy the holidays as well, while we try to schedule our stuff kind of thin during this time, because, in our shoot jobs, who knows what's going to happen. So we got to take it with the way it comes as well. Hopefully everyone out there has a Merry Christmas and gets everything that you wanted. It's tough today, man. I almost bought. It's too close to Christmas, but I came very close today at Evansville Toys and Games. This is plug for Daniel, by the way. Getting the Elite 1997 Rey Mysterio Jr. Halloween Havoc figure. It was $50, and I was just like, I just couldn't do it. I could not pull the trigger on it. I held it in my hand and held it in my hand, and I was just like, it's too close to Christmas. I have to finish some other Christmas stuff up first before I start spending some money on myself. But yeah, definitely saw some good stuff there today, though. Definitely.
Yeah, I've been avoiding it until after Christmas.
He's got a lot of good stuff in right now over there. So if you're in Evansville, Indiana area, swing by Evansville Toys and Games and check out their wrestling collection. LJN, Hasbro, Customs, Mattel.
They got it all.
It's got it all. So check that out as well. For myself and Tom, everyone have a Merry Christmas. Thank you all for the great year with the Hot Tag Hooligans. Can't wait to start 2022 off with you all. And we're going to start off with a bang. We'll see y'all. Have a Merry Christmas. Hey, this is Aaron from the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. On our way to Cosmic Christmas, a great 3-hour drive. Supposedly some rain on the way. Got the wife. And no, Quinn's not with us. She wound up being sick overnight. She's heartbroken. She cannot be there for Billie Stark's birthday. But we're on the road, so here's to the next 3 hours. Arrived here in Jeffersonville, Indiana, part of Billie Stark's Cosmic Christmas. Can't wait for this show to start and meet some incredible talent and watch them perform. All right, this is Aaron with the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. I'm here with Sabin Gauge, who had a tremendous match against Gary J today. And with the holidays up and coming, what was your favorite gift as a kid growing up?
Basically, my favorite gift as a kid when I was growing up was I used to be really into Power Rangers. So when I asked for this Power Ranger set, my parents actually got that for me, and I was like I was like literally tearing up, and I cried in Christmas because it was like the one thing I wanted, and that basically it's just in my memory since then. So yeah, that was it.
Now, were you a big fan of any wrestling figures growing up?
Wrestling, it was more like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, people that are high up there. But I never really asked for anything any wrestling figures at all, to be honest. More because they're more higher up on the price than what we had back then. Basically, the Power Rangers thing was maybe $10 for everything together, while the action figures themselves were $10 at that time. And then my parents were we didn't have that much money to spend like that. So yeah. if you give me 2 gifts for the price of one, then that's better than that.
Well, man, I hope you have yourself a great holiday. Great work tonight, as always. Tough one, Gary J., but we wish you the very best and have a Merry Christmas.
All right. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays to everybody out there. But, yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm here now with the Stiff Robo Jr., our main guy, one of the first people to come on our podcast. It's the one and only Gary J. Gary, how's it going?
Well, terrific. Went out there, got the W. Now I'm just hanging out eating some chocolate-covered strawberries, as I do.
Well, the holidays are coming up, so one thing I want to ask you is, what is the best Christmas movie of all time?
That is simple. A Christmas Story. There's no argument.
You know, you kind of remind me of a character off the Christmas Story.
Oh, really? Continue.
I mean, there was this big bully who would go around bullying young kids.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm all right with that. I aspire to be that if I have to be, as you know.
Tough matchup tonight against Sabin Gauge. What did you look for in the year of 2022?
Well, what I always do, go out there, throw my hands, get paid, and go home.
Awesome, man. Gary, thanks so much. Have a Merry Christmas, sir.
Hell yeah. And by the way, buy a fucking humbug.
All right, we're here with ZDP, who was involved in the Midwest Scramble. It didn't quite go his way.
I got cheated.
I think he did get cheated. I think I did see a little bit of cheating going on. It was like 3-on-1.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't fair. The odds were stacked against me, but, I'll get them next time.
Now, we're here at Cosmic Christmas, and one question I have is, what was your favorite toy that you got for Christmas?
My favorite toy I ever got was, I was like 12, and I got an electric scooter, and it went like 35 miles per hour, and I could ride it all over the place. It had a basket on it. Yeah, it was pretty lit. Yeah.
How many times did you wreck that scooter?
Like 3 or 4 times probably, yeah.
Awesome, man. And for everyone out there, we're going to get ZDP on the podcast coming up in January, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that, and have a Merry Christmas, my man.
Yeah, let's turn it up, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. Thanks. We are now here with the young GOAT, Myron Reed, who unfortunately, I think you were cheated in your match against Marcus Mathers, correct?
Yeah, because there's definitely no way he would have beat me if it was any other way.
Now, we are in the holiday season. I got a big question for you. Tell me, what is the best Christmas movie of all time?
The Grinch.
Why is The Grinch?
Man, hey, I like last, you feel me, different breed. You feel me, came for the gutter from nothing. And look at him, we don't like Christmas. We ain't have no Christmas growing up. That's why I like The Grinch.
My wife likes to refer to me as the Grinch because I'm just all about not the big time Christmas. I'm more about the family.
Yeah, we went in the same, man. That's why I like you. You're the Grinch, man. I love The Grinch. No other Christmas movie. I'm not talking Home Alone, none of that. Like Polar Express, none of that. Like, it's definitely Grinch.
Are you hearing this, wife? I'm not the Grinch. It's okay to be the Grinch even if I was, because the young GOAT said I was.
I'm the Grinch, but I don't lose. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the Grinch, but I don't lose. That wasn't even a loss tonight.
Well, Myron, thank you so much, man. Happy holidays to you and your family. Best of luck. Thanks for coming on the podcast this past year. We greatly appreciate it.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah.